Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is November 13th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2022 on the Greco-Roman civil calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American court action. We are the sovereign living justices in capitis diminutio nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sum juris, in proprio solo and in proprio heredes, and our free chosen, my free chosen sovereign appellation is like to Jiri Bay. My sovereign born appellation, as given by my empress, my mother, is Pauline Denise Ritchie in capitis diminutio nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sum juris, in proprio solo and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and Moabites and Canaanites, I want to make sure that I pronounce that properly. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient empire state for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today we are executing and exercising the law by our sovereign capacity, which is the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3, living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, possessors, and beneficiaries in this cause for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension, issue a universal creditor's bill for possession against all judgment debtors, and exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, not pro tem. So let me go ahead and I will open the table so that we can, oh, it's already open, which is beautiful. If you want to unmute yourselves, you can. *6 is the unmute and mute button. So the first thing that we want to put on the table, just to show some things that affirm what we've known and and what we have been putting our work towards, because the ancestors have said to us that we definitely need to begin working. And this was at the moment we woke up, the ancestors said, get busy putting your banking and your economic interests on the public record. So I put in the chat a link to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation bank failures in brief. Okay, we know that we are the original Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. That has been a resource of ours since time immemorial. And so we just want to show you a couple of things that, what is it that has been the, I would say impetus, but that's not really the right word. What is it that has been the talk that let us know that we needed to go ahead and put our monetary system on the public record? Well, here, I want to put this, I want us to take a quick look, and we've looked at this before, but things have changed. So what we're looking at is back in 2008, there was a enactment of a global financial crisis, so to speak. And there was a series of events that happened around, surrounding the finances there, that if you weren't paying attention and you were just looking at daily survival, you would not have seen or known that any of this stuff even took place. Okay. But in 2008, quote unquote, there was a series of bank failures that no one, to include the largest bank failure in history. Okay, that took place back then. And so we went on to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's website, and we went to look and see what has happened, which banks failed, and what has happened to the assets with regard to these banks, because as you all know, our court has recently went ahead and pronounced on the public record the bankruptcy of said corporations, because we're the people and we're the government, and that is what should be done. And then what we said is, okay, let us begin looking at the assets, because all assets belong to the Moors. All land, all natural resources, and all commerce has always been ours. And so we looked onto the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation website to see what are they even still claiming, because they weren't supposed, after you go bankrupt, you don't claim anything else. Nothing is yours. You don't have anything. You're a debtor. Okay. And so I looked at the bank failures in brief from 2001 to present, 2022 on the Civil Greco-Roman calendar. And this chart shows in green, this green chart is total assets, and this red is bank failures. Well, if you look at the assets went all the way down to nothing in 2018. There are no assets that they're claiming. Well, what happened in 2018? Right here on this chart. In 2018, we placed a lien on the corpses in 2018. And we said, okay, you all don't have any more assets, all because you can't claim anything. You never had any, but you can't claim anything because we're awake. We know that everything belongs to us, and we need to remove all of that fake, dead corporate paper off of the land, the natural resources, and all the commerce. And what we did is now reflected here on this website. And so there was a huge rise between 2007 and 2015. And what happened in 2015? Does anyone remember what happened in 2015? A major event that that is talked about among the Moors for that time period. Would anyone like to take a guess at the event that happened in 2015, because the writing was already on the wall for them?
Closing real estate corporation and the bankruptcy of the bank financial market.
That's one thing that happened. That is definitely one thing that happened. Anyone else? There's a specific event that happened that the Moors speak about and refer to. Austin, 2015. So I will say this. What happened in 2015 was the motu proprio, the civil letter. When the actor that was doing business as the Pope came in 2015 and went to the floor of Congress, quote unquote, because we know they're just actors, and said, you all need to, you're no longer protected. And they're talking to the corpses, those doing business as corporations and all of that. He told them, you all are no longer insured. That meant that the ones acting as policy enforcers, he stated it in 2014, and he actually came to visit the quote-unquote congressional floor in 2015. He had to actually come and say, it's over. We don't, they don't have to act anymore. And so and I'm not sure if any of you all saw that speech. I did see it. And I will say that they are good actors. I will say that. That's number one. And number two, everyone knows that everyone has always known who we are. They knew that at some point we were going to wake up and do exactly what we did, which is stop the commerce. Any fraudulent, crazy commerce, is particularly the commerce that had to do with people pretending like they don't know who the Moors are. Okay, Moors being detained and so on and so forth. That stuff, it took us a little while to bring that stuff all the way down, but we had to, and we did it. And so, and I'm living proof of that, and many of you are too. Islam nobility.
Yes, Empress, like you also have to mention about the letter that the Pope submitted to Obama.
That's exactly what we're talking about. That was actually issued as a motu proprio.
I yield.
Yes, Islam. Thank you for that clarification, because there was two events surrounding that. One of them is called exactly what you just said, nobility, the civil letter to Barack H. Obama, and then following that was the motu proprio, which was the same thing. It was just put on the public record by them, and all of them saying we're all saying the same thing, that they were all saying the same thing. And yes, Justice Morpheus says the Pope was escorted in a Fiat automobile. The actor doing business as the Pope was indeed being escorted around in a Fiat to signal that the Moors were going to wake up and put the right money system in place and remove that Fiat piece out of the way, which we have done, by the way. And they knew it was coming because they could look into the cosmos, and the cosmos was preparing the way for our arrival. And when I say our arrival, I mean all Moors were going to be waking up around this time. There are many Moors who are still asleep that are stirring in their sleep. So the wake-up has begun en masse. The ancestors knew that we would put our own money system in place, and they knew that we would move forward in building the bridge over the troubled waters. Okay. Islam nobility.
Did you also know that General F. Wait, let me just make sure because I have it on my computer. Yes. General Carter F. Ham also got a letter on July 4th, 2014.
I did not know that. I know that the actor, that particular actor, retired shortly after a lot of this stuff was going on. But retirement doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything because people keep working because they have a duty, They have a duty and obligation, and so they keep working. They'll say retired. That just means they move from one department, quote unquote, to another.
Yes, that's that part. He retired from the corporation and came into the living. So he did it himself, essentially, willingly, because he knew he could do.
And, you know, they can't really, for example, the subjects cannot bring themselves back alive. We actually have to do it. They can claim, and you'll notice on the public record, many of them have what they call a quote-unquote claim of life, certificates and documents that they're trying to create because they want to live. But we have to do that. We have to continue removing, you know, the corporate covering is removed. It just has to continually be stated on the public record. That's what's happening right now. So, you know, everything that we've done is affirmed by what you can see here. They knew that we would put some things in place. They knew that they could no longer claim assets and things like that. That's not a real thing. It doesn't happen for them because they never had any assets. And then we had to actually put some things in place that state that all assets belong to us and that we know how to use them. And that's what we're doing now, is making sure that we put everything in place in terms of the use, proper usage, and customs. Customs and usage is what that's called in international law, is what do we customarily use the assets for? What is the usage? What is the usage for currency? You know, how is that used? What is the usage for all the things that we saw previously, such as birth certificates and social security numbers and all that? That stuff has a use, but it cannot be used in the dead system. It must be naturalized and nationalized. Those are resources that have to be nationalized. And the issuance of them is what nationalizes them. That's why we go ahead and lien the dead stuff. And then we issue the living instrument. So this is further affirmation. So for those who need to know if the United States Corporation Company is still claiming any assets, the answer is no, by their own, what you see here on the screen. Okay, they're not claiming any assets. They don't have any. And where did the assets go? Back to the Moors. And they never really left us. We just put the right paper on the public record. So for those who need proof, there it is right there. They don't have any assets. So now, another something that I wanted to clarify also with regard to the things that we've done, so that we can clear up some of the things that have been stated and some of the, clarify some why we did the things that we did. Now, there are some banks. Let me just take a look here. Yes.
So Dr. T in Costa Rica
said here of the banks and things that
money
claimed the bank claimed. Just a moment.
So they said that it's for your
hold on.
Honor delarium or fiduciary money. Pauline, come on. We all know. Come on. And even Taj says that.
Just a moment. So now, more what we do see,
because Taj has said that he doesn't honor delarium.
Just a moment. Someone is speaking who should not be speaking. Yeah, I think there's someone speaking who yeah, okay. So we know that they don't want their butts to show out here in the public, but we have work to do. So we have to continue showing what we're showing.
And that's why Todd.
Okay. So now, this part is important. The bank failures. All of them have failed at this point, just so that we're clear about that, okay? But here on the screen, you can take a look at, this is a list, and it starts in 2008. Just one moment. And I actually wanted to start this from the very beginning and give a summary of it. Yeah, I think this is just the closing summary. The failures, so let's just take a look here, because you're going to see some familiar names on the list. Each year there are familiar names of banks that failed, and there were assets and things being moved over on paper only, just to show what was actually taking place. This is 2009. There was, this is the list from 2009, banks failing. Now, if you were busy working a 9-to-5 like most of us were, you didn't even know that banks were failing left and right around you. You would just see one there one day, and then it would be the name would be changed to something else the next day. Okay, this is just in 1 year. This was just in 2009 here. We'll just make sure. Yeah, this is just 2009 of the bank failures that happened all over the place. And so what's my point? My point is that for those who couldn't see necessarily, and that's not a bad thing, it just means that you know that no one taught us to see what a change in the financial system looks like, or a change in banking, what's really happening there. And so what we're seeing there, these bank failures continued and continued until they couldn't continue anymore. And the biggest one was Washington Mutual. So I want to take a look at that one briefly. Why? Because first of all, Washington Mutual, it started in Nevada, and it had a lot of its business was being done here at Washington Ancient District for Columbia. And who knew that the largest bank failure in history happened and no one noticed? No one noticed. What happened? J.P. Morgan Chase, quote unquote, and we're talking about actors here. J.P. Morgan Chase, the actor, assumed the assets of Washington Mutual. And what does that mean? That means that the banks that we leaned more, including J.P. Morgan Chase and all of that, because originally all of that belonged to us, to the people. And so what we did was we said, okay, we're going to lean the major ones, all of the major ones, because we knew that all of the others were derivatives of those quote unquote major banks. And so when we liened them back in 2018 by liening the head being the United States Corporation Company, the dead one. And then we said, okay, let's start being more specific at law and placing liens on the derivatives thereof. Okay. Why is that important? That is important because in 1971, when the custodian that was previously doing business as Nixon made the announcement that he made about removing any association of gold with the green paper that they were going to be printing from that point, all he was doing was stating that the paper wouldn't be real from that point, and that it wouldn't be backed by commodities and gold and silver and or any of that. And not only would it not be backed by it, but that they were going to be able to create all kinds of derivatives with that paper. And those derivatives, once the real gold standard stood and said, okay, enough, we've seen all we need to see, that's enough of that, that they would shut all of that down. And as you can see here, that has happened. So now, as the secured party lien holders, we looked at a USC code the other day. I believe it's, let me go back to my documentation really quickly and look that up. It is, I believe, let's see. 28. So 28 USC 2201, creation of remedy. We talked about that. We also talked about Title 12, 95A, subsection 95A, with regard to payments, any payments made. And then we also talked about, let me see, let me pull the other one up because we had, just a moment, let me find the other code that we spoke about recently. This is it right here. It's Title 12, subsection 1701K, right to redeem property on which the United States has a lien. We are the original states united. Therefore, our liens take precedence, but we had to lien the fraudulent United States Corporation Company. And so in liening them, what we did was we said, okay, no debtors, the debtors don't have a claim. All claims belong to the Moors. And so just one moment, let me get my chair straightened out here. So the right to redeem provided for by Section 2410C of Title 28 It says, shall not arise in any case in which the subordinate lien or interest of the United States derives from the issuance of insurance under the National Housing Act as amended. So what that's saying is that the National Housing Act, which we have not, the courts didn't put a National Housing Act in place because they can't. They're not the nationals. And so we can redeem all property, which has been done already by us, but we need to continue to enforce 28, Title 12, subsection 1701K. Okay, this we need to continue, and then what we will do is that those who are, we put this with Section 8 of the Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, okay? So this is where liens and the Constitution meet, is right here, okay? So with liens and the Constitution meeting there, those who have liens, you can use your liens as part of the process to get the property that it is that you're looking at, whatever the properties are, okay? And then we're going to use this same formula repeatedly. What is the formula? It's putting our lien, our nationality first and foremost, with our liens, and then any purchase orders, any quotes, anything that you get. For example, if you get if you want to go and look at a domicile or a conveyance even, and there's a write-up of it with an amount, you can use that along with your liens and the law in order to place your claim. And it's not even a claim anymore. It is a statement on the public record. And the same way that we changed the infractions that we had that we showed you, where we showed in the previous two videos from this one, for November, I believe it was the 6th. We showed how we converted or reissued rather a receipt as given by our government, and then we used Delarium, more sovereign Delarium, to pay the receipt. Well, that's how we're doing with all the receipts that we have now. And a receipt is anything that has an amount on it that you take that, you scan it in, and then you edit it to state whatever it is that you want to state. And when you print it out, it's a new document. It's not the same as what went into the computer, okay? Because once you scan it into your computer, it's a different document. Now, how do we know that that's true? Because we know that for those who have signed things like either mortgages, student loans, and things like that in our sleep, that once it was scanned into the computer and they sent it to the stock market, it got a new number. It got a new number, and it was actually fraud because it wasn't the original. It wasn't the original signature. And so we've turned that around, and we're saying, okay, anything that we get, whether it be, for example, at our dealerships, we get purchase orders. They give a purchase order and tell how much it's going to be and all of that. And you can take that purchase order, scan it in, edit it, and change it to a trustee receipt or a fiduciary receipt, and reissue it as a receipt using these laws and your liens, because a lien should be in place so that corporate covering can keep coming off. We liened YouTube, and we were talking about YouTube prior to the recording. YouTube is liened, so we have to start seeing things the way it needs to be. And then a lot of that fraudulent stuff is gone to other platforms, Is it all fully ridded? Is the YouTube fully ridded? No, not yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there of people acting like they don't even know who the Moors are. Yeah, you know who the Moors are. Everyone knows who we are. We're the government. How do you not know who your government is? You know. So we're going to keep moving in this, using these laws and these and they're laws when we say that they're laws, okay? Because some people say, well, that's just codes and statutes. It's codes and statutes until we use them. And this is the way that we do our banking. That's how our banking, that's what our banking is going to look like, okay? Title 12.
People know who the Moors are because they're on
the title. That's what our banking looks like. And just a moment. Here.
What about last week's podcast, Pauline?
Just a moment.
Last Sunday, you told your kin you was on a podcast.
So,
where are they at, girlfriend? Come on.
This
you was on a podcast.
Just a moment.
Looking at 21 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah, Lord.
Quote unquote call.
We'll get it straightened out in just a moment.
Hey, I'll come say goodbye after I get off this podcast. Look at it.
Just a moment.
40 seconds on last Sunday. She said she's on a podcast.
They listen to every word. Okay, so now, are there any questions or comments with regard to what we just stated? About how we're going to be proceeding in getting the things that we need to get. And it's not that we need them, getting the things that rightfully belong to us. Any questions or comments regarding that? Okay, just a moment. A little bit of noise coming from one of the lines here. Okay, so now, with that being said, there's a question in the chat, do we need to create an application? We can, and fill out our own application. We can. I think we should we will create an application and put it on the public record, and yeah, that's a great idea. Empress Rosetta, would you mind creating that application? Thank you. And then just if you would email it, and I'll, we'll collaborate on it. So again, Moors, we're setting up. We have already set up our own banking system. We don't need to use a failed banking system because all the assets are over here with us. We just need to continue to properly claim them, not need, but we shall continue properly claiming all the assets that rightfully belong to us. So we have proof, everything. Now, one other thing that we're going to be doing, and I mentioned this briefly the other day, I did not finish doing my own, putting the demonstration together to show you, but we will do that in the next call, Congressional Assembly that we have on Thursday, either Thursday or next Sunday. Just we're getting to the subject matter as quickly as we can in terms of our financial system, and continuing to put it in place. But what we're really putting together also is we're going to be showing you the construction or reconstruction, and it's really just the construction of our birth certificates that we put on where we proclaim the 3D estate, and that backs our money. We're going to be showing you how to construct that. And the way that it has worked in the past and the way that our ancestors put it together is that 80% or some percentage, a larger percentage of our estate, and when I say our, I mean all Moors, okay, of our estate, 80 or 90% of it, or even 95% of it, is gold and gold instruments. And then there's a small percentage of it that we issue that says, okay, we're not going to be handing gold bars, we're actually going to be using gold-backed instruments. So either way, it's all gold-backed. Let me clarify that. It's all gold-backed. It's just some of the gold will be issued as gold or other commodities, and then some of it will be issued as paper backed by gold. So any of the instruments that we issue are backed by gold. And all we're saying is settlement happens immediately. Our instruments are gold instruments. Okay. And so we're going to continue, we're going to begin the construction of the birth certificate, because, you know, we have our legal size birth affidavits already on the public record. And we have our legal size birth certificates on the living birth affidavits that we've placed on the public record. And then now we are going to the commercial level and creating birth certificates. But the birth certificates are being issued by our living United States corporation company that's backed by gold, silver, and other commodities. Okay. Initially, the things that we issue, any of the documents that we issue from our corporation, our United States corporation companies, they're the living ones that we started. And those who've been on these calls, you can go back and look and see how it was established, how it was set up, and how it started with actual physical gold and physical assets. And so we're going to create birth certificates for that purpose, so that it's a number of reasons why we would do that. One of the main reasons why we're going to be creating our own birth certificates that are under our birth affidavit is so that no one else can. So that no one else can create a birth certificate and say, well, they're undocumented. They don't have any birth certificates. They don't have this and that. And not that we care what anyone else says, but it's our land, it's our state. And the birth certificate is how the commerce that Moors have been asking about takes place. But that, for us, has to be, it only follows sovereign living birth affidavits and sovereign living government documents in our national language. Okay. Islam, we can. Thank you for letting us know. So, with that being said, does everyone have more sovereign dolarium? Is there anyone who needs more sovereign dolarium? If so, if you could put your email in the chat or state your email, we'll get that sent to you, and you will have it before this meeting is over. Is there anyone who needs more sovereign dolarium? Because that is Islam nobility.
This is Travis Neal at the Louisiana Bay, Michigan Territory.
Islam.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My printer was having some issues, but the notes I did get from my brother, they was all in $1 trillion bills.
Okay.
So
what's your? Do you want to put your email in the chat, or you can actually even Rayvonna, can you get this email right here? Or you can, for those who don't want to put their email on the platform, but this is, just know that this is a public platform, okay? You can.
I'm traveling right now, Empress.
Islam. So I have a WhatsApp that you can put it on and get this into. Okay, thank you.
I would do that. I will send it to you.
And for those who want to send their email via WhatsApp in order to receive more Gold Back More Sovereign Dollarium, you can. My WhatsApp is 334-294-9828, and you can just text your email address. And I want to thank my Empress, who's sitting next to me, taking those email addresses down, and she's going through the emails and working the government email for us so that we can have our time freed up to do more study and more research and putting more information out there. So I do want to thank her for that.
I can assist if you need to also.
I'm gonna Empress, you can take a break this time. Thank you so much for that, because between you and her, we will make sure that the Moors get what it is that they desire. So, but she's sitting here right now writing, capturing the emails and capturing is not the right word. Writing down the emails so that she can send the dollarium. It's fine. And for that, I'm grateful. Her administrative skills are just masterful, way better than mine, actually. So we know the work will get done. With that being said, are there any comments about the banking situation? You can see now that we had to do what we have done. It was a necessity that we produce our own money. It was a necessity at Earth that we back it with gold and silver and all that we've done, and natural resources. It's a necessity for us to be able to use it, even if, other systems are not available. We still need to be able to use it. However, we have commandeered and taken control of our own system. It has been given to us. So, and that was just by us doing the things that we've done so far, which is continue to work together in unity. Islam nobility.
This is Noble Timothy Hassan Bay, Virginia Territory. Sis, would you repeat that number again?
Yes, it is 1-334-294-9828. And I'll put it in the chat.
I was on my cell. I couldn't. I'm not on the computer.
Okay,
I was on my cell.
It's 334-294-9828, and we put the one digit before that because one is for North America, believe it or not. So even the phone numbers were hypothecated and subrogated. There was attempted hypothecation and attempted subrogation on the phone numbers. By dropping the one, they were saying that we're not on the land and we're not North America, but that we were quote unquote the United States Corporation Company, the dead one. So that's why the phone numbers and area codes and things like that, they were overlaid, but we had to remove all of that.
Also, where's the document you said about the birth Live birth, our live birth certificate?
So it's our Living United States Corporation Company is right. We're going to be producing our own birth certificate.
Okay.
So what we're doing is, and that's only for Moors who want to engage in commerce and do things and grow your estate, and things like that. Because if it's one thing we did learn, it's that when we declared our nationality, we killed all the bonds that dead United States Corporation Company, the dead one, was pretending to own and have. And it was by those pretend bonds that we, people were being detained, people were being put into, pulled.
Pauline has never been able to buy groceries. How the hell do you think she's going to buy it?
All of that was happening because of those bonds. So we had to declare our nationality and terminate all corporate contracts with them, with the actors. And now we're saying, okay, any commerce that's done, it's going to be gold-backed commerce. We do it, and it's going to grow.
Commerce like getting your free groceries, Pauline. Buy some free groceries.
Okay. And no one else can claim that they have control of our birth certificate or social security number or anything like that. They don't have that because we're going to be putting our own stuff on the public record.
Pauline is telling you guys to do all kinds of shit that she doesn't do herself.
And also keeping control of it. So we don't. It's like with anything else. We don't give that to someone. We hold on to it. Okay. Islam Justice Dumois, Empress Rayvana is sending that to you. She's preparing the emails right now. Thank you. So you should have, everyone should have Delarium in just a moment, probably in another 5 or 10 minutes. And if you would, please check your emails to make sure that you did get, that you received it in about, I would say at the most 10 minutes. Okay. Just check to see if you got that email. And it'll be coming from thegovernment@gmail.com. So with that being said, our timing is perfect, Moors, on what we've been doing with regard to our banking. And so all we're doing now is moving forward on putting the birth certificate in place, because our Prophet Noble Drew Ali stated that we did have an estate in those names, and that's true. And by those names, we mean the all caps. Okay. In the chat, Justice Kansu at UK territory, Great Britain territory, he asked to speak on the setting up of the bank account. So the setting up of our bank accounts, first happens in our own records. So in order to set up the bank account, what we did was we directed everyone to go to Google Sheets, because we first have to keep accurate records of our own before those records are turned over to anyone. Okay? So when our ancestors did all of their banking, they did it first in their own books, and then they would give copies of those books to the banks or whomever, because they were in control of their own finance. So we go to Google Sheets and we put the information in, the banking information in Google Sheets, and set up our bank accounts that way first, because we could actually lend to each other if we needed to, not that we will, or keep accurate records with one another back and forth without even going on to, say, a bank per se. And those credits are actually real credit because we have our own master state. So what we do is set it up first on Google Sheets. And our government, the trust that our government has, it is the People's Trust, automatically places a certain amount of gold and silver and all of that. So all of the gold and silver that's on the land is a part of everyone's trust. And then our individual bank accounts are connected to that trust. Okay? And so that's what the purpose of the birth certificate is going to be. And with the birth certificates that we put on the public record, no one can kidnap you and attempt to use some false instrument or some false number that they've created to molest, because your birth certificate and your state security number, you know, the sovereign security number and the state security number are the same number. The sovereign security number is in the higher realms. The state, which is the land realms, that's why they're in red. And then everything else that we're doing in terms of these birth certificates that we're going to be creating, because these birth certificates that we create are also bonds. Okay? And when I say bonds, they're United States Treasury bonds, the living United States, which is us. And you all, again, go back and look at the, and in fact, we'll put a link in the chat to the video where we created our own living United States corporation company, whereby we put our own birth certificate on the record, and that is how our estates will grow. So, for example, I'll just use a debtor as an example of how we make our estates grow. We'll look at the debtor that was doing business as Donald Trump. That particular debtor, he took his all caps name and just was able to plaster and blast it out and put it out different places and do branding and this and that and this and that. Well, that is how we're going to grow our estates, but we're doing it from the creditor perspective, where we create everything. We don't have any connection with the debtors. Okay? And so that's why it's important for us to go to Google Sheets or go to Excel for those who have Excel, or any program that you have. Just go and start something that says, this is where I'm going to be keeping my bank account information. And here's a hint more about that. If you've ever had a bank account previously, you can use those same numbers and that same, wherever it was, create the letterhead and open your bank account. We've already shown you where we opened, where we terminated all corporate contracts with Navy Federal, and then we opened our own account with the same number. We've shown that already because we had to lean the numbers that they were using. We had to lean them so that those numbers are no longer valid, and then we put the creditor numbers on, which are the same sequence. Okay? And so it's important that we know the difference in their capitalism versus our capitalism. Okay? That's something that we had to take back. Now, Moors are not obligated to engage in sovereign capitalism, in creditor capitalism. You're not obligated to do that. You can just be on the land, living freely and doing as you please on your own land peacefully. You know, but then there are some who want to who choose to engage in sovereign commerce and sovereign merchant action. That is done by judicial banking first, and then we begin to create. So what that means also is that, and we touched on this a little earlier, that any of the financial instruments that we create attaching them to our estate, those sovereign instruments that we create are already gold-backed instruments already. Dollarium is our national currency. So the things that we put on the public record, Dollarium backs those anything that we do, or vice versa. The things that we've done backs Dollarium. Let me put it that way. That's a better way to put it. So Dollarium is gold backed. It's also backed by natural diamonds. It's backed by platinum. It's backed by silver. It's backed by a basket of commodities. Okay, a commodities basket. Right now, we're just using the gold-backed part of it because of the Constitution. We're saying the first iterations of Dollarium are gold only. Gold only. So that way there's no way for us to use all the gold that we have because we have so much of it on the land. But the United States Corporation Company has 8,100 tons of gold in our reserves. And when we say 8,100 tons, that's above ground. That doesn't have to be harvested. We have that sitting in a vault. All of us do. Okay, so any Dollarium that's created, anything that's created like that, we just, it's already backed by gold. And again, remember, just by the chart that we showed you, initially here, let's go back to that original chart. If none of
luckily, Ray Bonner has a daddy that still pays the mortgage, so she still has a place to live.
Since none of the banks are claiming, just a moment, because I'm not sure who that was speaking. Since none of the banks are claiming any assets, okay, and not that their claims were valid, because they weren't, but since they placed on the public record that they don't have any assets, then even all of the above ground gold, we confiscated it. When did we vote on that, Morris? We voted on that probably about a month ago, where we said that we were confiscating all gold. And confiscation of it just means it belongs to us no matter where it is. Because it's not going anywhere. It's not like the gold is going to be put on a spaceship and flown out to space and stolen. It'll still be here on the land. It's not going anywhere, just like domiciles. The domiciles aren't going anywhere, so how can anybody claim that they foreclosed and took the domicile from somebody? You can't take it from us. It's here. It's on the land. It's not going anywhere. It's just a matter of whose paper is valid and covering that domicile or covering that gold. The gold is not going anywhere. It never has gone anywhere. It doesn't rust. It doesn't disappear. It's still ours. And then there's gold that's in the earth that we will never get to because it's just so much that we have already. Now, the 8,100 tons is not a whole lot, but it's enough to get everything going in the way that it should. We already have that written into our inventory. And, the subjects know about that. They know all about it, and so do we. So, all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing with regard to, everyone needs to get their bank account set up. And that just means have a way for you to be able to keep track of your banking so that if internet and all of that goes down, you still have your bank documents where you just turn on your computer and your bank documents are right there. Just have an offline way to access your banking documents. Even if that means just open it up, and print out whatever it is that you open up, print it out, and at least have one copy printed out there at your domicile. That way you have banking offline. That you can say, this is what I did, this is my banking. And then from there, you know, we don't anticipate anything happening with regard to things going down. Anything that was going to go down, it went down already and it's back up. The things that we've been talking about have already happened. It happened really quickly. The things that we've been stating that we were going to do, and you know, people have been saying, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to shut down all of this and shut down all of that. That stuff's been happening. It's happened and done and over with, and everything is back up. And that's another part of what you're seeing, the discussion we had before the recording started. Okay, so that's the second question about the bank account. So I will show you right now how to do that, how we did it. So this is, let me make sure we can see that. Okay, Google. So what we did was, let's see. We went to this little group of buttons right here and looked for Google Sheets. You can just kind of scroll through and find the Google Sheets icon, which is right here. And we said, okay, let us open up a bank account. So this is the sovereign treasury. This is our treasury, the Moorish treasury, the Empire State of Morocco treasury. And many of you know that we had, let's see, we had, back in 2019, I believe it was, yes, it was 2019, September 11th, 2019, we put $666 trillion in gold, that instrument, on the public record. This is proof of that instrument. It was actually September 11th, and then it's reflected on our accounts as September the 13th. It actually should be the 11th. And so this is how we do this is how we record our bank account. You give it a name here, and then you start putting things in your bank account. Empire State of Morocco. This is the bank account for the empire, based on what we put on the public record. And then we have other pages to this where we've done some things as well. I will say this, in this bank account, you can look here and see we've even included some of the green slips. You know, this is what I like about Google Sheets is you can insert your proof of mailing slips into your spreadsheet. Let me see if we can look at that. Okay, let's see. Image. Okay. And this one is written in Ancient English, by the way. Ancient English is our national language. So know that the spelling that you see there it's not misspelled. It's in ancient English. And we all can still read it. So that's one of the qualifications for having a national language is it has to be applicable where everyone in the nation understands or overstands the language. And this 666 trillion sovereign gold-backed dollarium balanced before exchanges. Okay. And then, so that is how we have been doing the things that we're doing. That's how you set up your bank account. Go to Google Sheets and put things in there, or if you have Excel, because Google Sheets and Excel look the same. Okay, and so let me show you that once more how we got there. Go to the browser Google, and if you have a Google, if you have Gmail, but even if you don't have Gmail, these will still be there, and you'll be able to open Google Sheets. So you do want to open it up, and then you can start a blank document. Here, let me go back. The way that you would start recording and opening up your bank account is here, that blank document. And then you just start putting things in there, giving it some titles, put some titles up. Put some things up there, and then if you want to change the colors, because we usually put our lettering in red, we just put it in red, and and then we start putting the entries in. With regard to some might think that this is not necessary, but it actually is necessary, because if you'll remember, when people got, when you first got your first checking account, let's just say you got your first checking account, they would give you an entry book where whenever you wrote a check, you would write down. Justice Travis, do you have something that you wanted to add to what we're stating?
Just 1 minute. No, Empress. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. And do you know how to star 6, Justice Travis?
Islam.
Okay.
That was a mistake. Forgive me.
Okay, Islam. It's fine. I just wanted to be sure you knew how. So when when you first got your checking account, they gave you a little book where you could write in how much was in your account and then start subtracting things from that. Well, when you're talking about an estate that's as vast as ours and how fast our estates will grow, continue to grow right before our very eyes, you're going to need more than a little entry book. And so these programs like Google Sheets and Excel and other programs like that, or Word, if you don't have Excel or Google Sheets, just use Word or WordPad or Notepad, anywhere where you can type in the letters and then the numbers and then subtract the numbers or add the numbers can work, So with estates that are as vast as ours and with the exchanges going back and forth like they're going to be going back and forth, because, see, once we do our exchanges and we put them in these, then we can send that to the bank and say this is what was done. Make sure you record it properly, because we're the bank too. And then we want to be able to have access to everything that has to do with us so that if anything happens where banking is concerned, we're good because we have everything right here. That is absolutely necessary. Did you send the email? Okay, can you go ahead and forward it so that they can get it? And then I'll just check with them to see, just to make sure everybody got it. Thank you. And thank you. So those who wanted the Delarium in your email, please check your email and make sure that you received it. You should receive it, have received it. Empress Ravana just forwarded that out. So with that being said, you know, all we're doing is the transition has happened. That's all this is the transition of all resources, all land, all commerce to the control of the Moors. Because as you can see, no one else has the assets we do. And we've already put that on the public record. That's just further proof that, you know, when we say something, that is the law. Everyone must abide by the law and obey the law in terms of those who are not the heirs. You know, and we're grateful that they do as commanded, you know, because that's the law. Islam, thank you, Empress Michelle. She said she did receive, and Ravana, that's for you. Okay. So she said you're Islam.
Yeah, I was. This is a case to mind. I was wondering how you go about setting up an account if you never had one, like a bank account.
If you said if you never had a bank account,
right?
Then this is perfect for you. And there are Moors who've not ever had a bank account before. So what you want to do is what we just showed you. Do you have a computer?
Okay. Oh, yes.
Okay. Which programs do you have? Do you have Excel or Access or Google Sheets or Google?
Google Sheets, yeah.
Okay.
I have Google Sheets and all that, yeah.
So you do want to use Google Sheets for your banking. And let me tell you why that's important. Because you can share Google Sheets with anyone, and you can also access your bank account on your phone. So with Google Sheets, you can access it on your phone also, so that you can see while you're out and about what's going on in your bank account. Because this whole exercise with the Moors standing and doing all that we're doing is to show and to illustrate to ourselves that we are competent to govern. Competent government means that in our own, where our own estates are concerned, we're documenting and governing properly. So this Google Sheet is for our own estates, okay? And then where government is concerned, it's also for that as well, because we keep records. We have to keep the records. You know, we have to keep them. The government, that whenever you self-govern, you're the holder of your own records. Okay. And then Justice Malik says, how do we communicate with other banks using our created accounts? How do you communicate with anyone for any reason? How do you do that? How do you communicate with a court? using your documents. How do you do that? Because it's the same thing, you know. You can do it by email. You can do it by delivery of the document. You can do it by however you choose to do that. Now, we showed you on our last call how to upload things to the bank. Your affidavit, these accounts, to have them reflect things properly. We showed that. There's another part of that we have not shown yet, and I think what we'll do is go ahead and show that part today. This is the part where I had to ask the ancestors, is this something that we put on the public record, or how does it work? So we want to show you, let's see. We'll show the one for let's show the one for Securities and Exchange. So when it comes to being able to access the Treasury, okay, maybe we'll show the one for the Treasury. Yeah. Okay. So now, what you're seeing on the screen is the rise of the Red House. That's what the rise of the Red House looks like right there. That is the true rise of the Red House. The rise of the Red House, and again, this is just one facet of the rise of the Red House, because the blood is the first facet, our bloodline and birthright. The Bureau for Fiscal Service is a direct attachment to the Treasury and that which says you can write checks from the Treasury. Okay. There are different facets to this whole process, and as we get them, we're showing them. Okay, we're trying to make sure that we keep everything in order as we show it. But the Bureau for Fiscal Service has a document called Special Power for Attorney and there says something about by individuals for the collection of checks drawn on the United States Treasury, but of course we have our own, yes, indeed, Empress, we have our own documents that we absolutely do ourselves, where you can literally go ahead and draw from and create checks from the Treasury. So the ancestors are giving us the keys to everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And so what we have done, and this is why it when you see the one that they have that they give to individuals, you will know why it's important for us to have to edit the documents and change them and reconstruct and reform and renaissance and all of that, recover, all of that. So this document, Special Power for Attorney by Sovereign for the collection of checks drawn from the United States Treasury, Know all by these presents that the stated hereon Treasury at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., does hereby appoint Pauline Ritchie at, and it has the, this is without a zip code here, by the way. We're not using any zip codes. It says, as the attorney in fact to receive, create, endorse, collect, withdraw, deposit, withdraw, cash, and for all other purposes, checks, created payable for the below stated, drawn from the United States Treasury and issued for, and of course we issued ours, we put public works there, public works and all other. And we talked about public works. Public works is what will allow the people to have prepaid utilities, water, sewer, trash service, and all of that. Public works is what we finance. That's what we do, you see. And so in order for us to do that, we need to, you know, not that we need to, it is our knowing that that's what the Treasury, from what our perspective is for, is to assist the people to get what is rightfully theirs, okay? And that trash service and, you know, basic telephone service and all of that, and water and sewer is public utility. And it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you're a part of the public, you get that, and that's part of our vast estate. And to me, that's what the Treasury is for, first and foremost, you know, is to make it so that we can access anything we need to access. It says here, and to give full acquittance and discharge for the same, hereby ratifying and affirming all that said attorney in fact shall lawfully state. This power for attorney is hereby given as affirmation for the assignment to the attorney in fact or any that she lawfully delegates, the right to receive and do all other actions with lawful intentions concerning the above stated works. And then where durability is concerned, it says, grantor shall initial each line in affirmation thereof, at which time the statement is the supreme law for the land. This power for attorney is not revocable. This power for attorney is effective into perpetuity in alignment with 31 Code for Federal Regulation Part 240. And hopefully, before you do these documents, you will read CFR 240. Thank you, Justice Dumois, for letting us know that you did receive the email of the Delarium. Thank you. We see that in the chat. That's important to us because, again, that's going to go with this document also. This document, see, with these documents, you cannot reach into a debtor treasury that's empty and try to pull something out. We see on the FDIC website here that they don't have any assets. So what are you reaching for over there? But we've also shown you where we have all the assets. It says, Part C, this power for attorney is effective immediately and non-protunct in alignment with 31 Code for Federal Regulation Part 240. And we designated ours on the 8th of November, which was the full moon. Appeared in propria persona sui juris before me, the above stated. And then, of course, you know, we affirm our own, and this was dated at Washington, this 8th of November. My commission does not expire. So, as you can see, Moors, you don't need any other Moors in your territory in order for you to do the things you need to do to govern your territory. Okay. Thank you, Justice Lorenzo Islam. Now, let me just say this. I can just show you the original form that they put out for this document, and it was a hot mess. I was like, I hope nobody signed that without reading it. I really hope no one saw that document and said, ooh, I can go in the Treasury with this document. I hope you read it. I hope you read it, because It was crazy. And this is why reformation is so important.
Yes, so I have a question.
Sure.
So that goes with the other power for attorney that we do for the incorporations?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Just a moment. So what we're doing is manifesting at all the different dimensions. We're manifesting competently at all of the different dimensions, because there are several different dimensions. This was the original one. I just have to show you this because it was just, I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I thought, I hope no more spilled this out. I hope none. But look at C. Oh, well, let's first look at this durability of this power of attorney. It says, this power of attorney shall automatically be revoked upon a determination that I, the grantor, am incompetent. That means that if you're signing that like that, it's already revoked, because you can't because they know they're debtors. That's number one. Number two, look at this. This power of attorney shall remain effective to the extent authorized following the determination that I, the grantor, am incompetent. So it remains effective to that extent, and for them. And number three, this power of attorney shall become effective upon the determination that I, the grantor, am incompetent, and shall remain effective to the extent. Morris, I hope no one signed that thing right there. I laughed very hard when I read that, because that is crazy.
Islam. That to me is, when you read that and when I seen it, it's like they want you to confirm by your own volition and your own autograph, by reading it, knowing that you're incompetent, and to further state that you are incompetent. But by the way, by writing that and signing that, that means that they just want more power to take from your trust.
Oh yeah, you sign that, and then, oh my word, it's on and popping with your trust. You know, you don't get anything. You don't get anything, and you never, So that's why that's what Reformation and all that we're doing, renewal, renaissance, reconstructing. The document is a good document based on the title, but you got to be incompetent to do anything over there. Why? Because it's a debtor situation. It's a debtor situation. Who would actually, agree to be a debtor? No one. Everyone wants to be the creditor.
Islam, but that document does show that they were the fraudulent trustees doing dirty business. That's what that does show.
Yeah, it does show that. It does show that, and that's why I don't understand why anyone would be wanting to hold on to a non de jure instead of leaning the crap out of that thing and creating your own lawful, legal instrument in all capital letters that you use to serve you. I'm like, wow. So there are a lot of moving parts that the ancestors are just really putting together for us. We're just so grateful because as we continue to stand, we're seeing where those that were pretending to do things are saying, "Oh, you caught us. We don't have nothing," So all we have to do is continue to stand and do what we've been doing. So I'm excited for us. I actually ended up doing, now I put here Treasury, and then I also have one that says United States Treasury. So I did a total of probably 13 of these for different things that we're doing. I did it for our territory. I did it for our state, the state of Washington. I did it for the Judicial District of Washington, Washington Ancient District for Columbia, because that was what Empress Columbia was, this was her territory, and that was her dominion. It is her dominion since time immemorial, and so we put those things on the public record because we know her spirit is within each one of us. So, and then this is one of the documents that I uploaded into the bank account, the USAA and the Navy Federal Bank account. So, Justice Malik, when you ask the question of how do we communicate the things that we have to the bank, this is how you do it. You send this plus one affidavit of any kind, whether it be just a name change in judicial proclamation or anything of that nature. And, we know that USAA and all those other banks have received so much stuff on the public record from us that it's just, and then you send your bank statement. Now, when you do that, you then, if there's something going on, for example, with Public Works, I believe, and I'm still doing my research here, in fact, I know this to be true, that we will be cutting a check from the Treasury for Public Works at Federal Way. And that is where it's going to implement the things where, the utilities go back to being public utilities. What we did was we looked at the budget for Federal Way, or rather, we looked at the City of Federal Way, quote unquote, the documents that they put as an adopted budget. And we saw some things in there that was a little suspect, so we're going to be seeing how, we'll do a little fixing up and changing of it according to what we know about budget. And then we'll cut a check and issue that check on the public record and forward it to the parties, the custodians, so that they know that a check has been issued by the Treasury, from the Treasury, that is taking care of public works. So now, let me say this about these types of documents. The territories need to be taken care of. I know that people need domiciles and things like that. I get, we get that. Everyone gets that. This kind of stuff is so that things get better, not just for us, but for everyone. Even the sleeping Moors, even the citizens, even the subjects. That's what this stuff is for. It's proper claiming of everything. So as you're doing these documents and putting them together, think about all the people and what it is that most people are needing right now. Most people need a break on utilities. Most people need a break on, they need a break on those types of things. It's our job to do it. Nobody else can. And when we do it for everybody, it's automatically gonna hit our, it's gonna come our way. When we were thinking about public works, for the very first time, once we did this document, And then we said, well, let's go look because we're going to be preparing to cut the check from the Treasury for Public Works. When we looked we went on to Federal Way, quote unquote, City of Federal Way website, which is really not, that's not theirs, that's ours. We went on to the website to look at the budget, and for the first time, as many times as I've been on that website, for the first time, a whole group of people were showing as the Public Works Department. I was like, where did that come from? Because I had never seen or heard of any Public Works departments here. Never once. And the closest they got to it, to even mentioning that they had a Public Works department, was when I looked at the trash. I was looking at the documentation for trash bills, you know, where they come and pick up the trash. And that's supposed to be a city service that the people get prepaid. It's already taken care of by the city. That's what it's been that. And so with regard to the Public Works, the closest they mentioned it was I was reading a trash statement, and I went on to Federal Way website and started looking at what they say about the trash service. They, first of all, if you don't know how to read, you'll be thinking that you have to go through waste management, because they have it there, waste management mentioned on the city website, which is crazy, because why would you have a corporation and have people paying for that when it's actually something that the city is supposed to be doing? And Ravana, they're saying they haven't received the email yet. Please make sure you check, because I think she got everybody. I thought she had everyone, but she's sending again to those emails that you put there. It's 8:49. Denise Brown, 8:49. Okay, so and then in the writing, there's another one up there too. In the writing, in a little place on that website, it hinted at Public Works. It hinted at it, but it didn't really say anything about it, because it's not a true Public Works department. It's not real. Because if it were real, then people could check on public utilities, they could check on the trash service and all of that they get without having to give fiat all the time. Those things are grants, basically, not grants. They're public works. Gas, you know, for the domicile, gas, electric, phone, trash, water, all of that, those are basic services that are supposed to be provided for you. So that's what Public Works is all about. And so the very first, yes, it's programs, it's not services. You know. So for those who have put all the red, and this is also why those red documents are so important, Moors. So for the Moors that are at the competency level of writing Treasury checks, please make sure that you have your red documents on the public record, and then the blue documents, please. Make sure, because writing checks from the Treasury is you know, there's a competency level. They're telling you in their form that there's some competency necessary there. And all that is knowing what the 3 dimensions are and stating who you are in all 3 dimensions. At the highest dimension, we stated, and at the highest dimension for this realm, we stated in red in all lowercase letters in our national language who we are. We did that, and we said we're the treasurer, we're the currency controller, and all of that. All of those documents, this is why those documents are so important. And for the Moors who are at the other territories, these documents are for you too. UK territory, everywhere, because these are the same documents that those that were doing business as Bank of England and all of that, they had to have these documents on the public record. And so putting the documents in red first, then putting things in blue, and then you start using forms that we create. We have to create the forms we use. So there's a question in the chat, how do we use the Dolarium in our everyday lives? You take any document that has a price on it, whether it be a purchase order from a conveyance dealership, whether it be an infraction, like for example, we showed in the last two meetings how to convert or reconstruct an infraction document and turn that into a receipt and then issue Dolarium to take care of it. Okay, so Dolarium is used in everything that we need, and including groceries and things like that. You take the grocery, you can go online and create a receipt in terms of go to the website of the grocery store, pick out whatever it is that you're going to be getting. It should give you a total. You download that, and again, this is before you don't have to use any fiat to create a total, you know, because you actually have to put something in the cart before you can pay for it. So once you get everything in the cart and it gives you a total before you pay, then instead of paying like that, you print that off, and then you create a receipt of your own. Call it a receipt, a trustee receipt or a fiduciary receipt or an attorney-in-fact receipt. And then you mark it paid with Dolarium, and you quote the Constitution at Article 1, Section 8 and Article 1, Section 9. Article 1, Section 9 talks about appropriations. Article, and then the other two articles, 12 U.S.C. 95A, you want to quote that as well, which is full acquittance and discharge, and then also 12 U.S.C. 1701K. So those are the things that we're doing, and we're using our court to do that. Okay. And, you know, you can either use Dolarium for that, or you can, you know, for those who are doing it where it's big blocks of things that are getting done, or it's being done for more than one more, you can use Treasury checks to do it. You know, if you're just doing things just for you and you only, you know, then use Dolarium to do it. When you start getting into economies of scale, then you're talking Treasury checks and things like that. Because that's really what we're here for, is to govern the territory. Islam.
Did it also be letters of credit for this document?
What's the purpose of the letter of credit?
Well, stating that the account has credit. Because I remember we had talked about several classes prior, in congressional meetings rather, how other people would come from other locations around the world, and they would get a letter of credit from their government and bring it to the banks over here, and they would get the credit accredited to their account. So I'm just asking, and rather than, I don't know, those who want to use letters of credit, because I know that was placed in a few of the documents also that we have created for letters of credit being a tool rather, that we can use to get credit and draw from the Treasury.
So I don't really understand why. First of all, you can do it however you choose to do it, however your competency says to do it. I don't understand why you would need a letter of credit when you have the whole Treasury there, and all you have to do is write a check. It's create a check and then upload it to the bank.
Oh, well, because some people say, how do you access the Treasury checks? So
that right there. And then how you do that, look at the processes first, Empress. Look at the processes for letters for credit, okay, and bills of exchange. Look at those processes before you do them so that you will know exactly what is called for there.
Yes,
now,
I get.
With a letter of credit, the difference between a letter of credit and a Treasury check is that a Treasury check has the numbers at the bottom, the routing number, the account number, the check number, and the internal banking number, whatever that number may be, however you choose to state that, so that the funds come from one place and are put in the other place. And we do that. We're the ones who say, we have taken the funds from here and put them here. Make sure that the record is properly reflected. A letter of credit, you're still going to need routing numbers, because if a letter of credit it just says, yes, you have the credit. Yes, you have the credit. Which would be very general, and eventually you're going to have to come back around to creating a check anyway, even with letters of credit. Because, for example, if you get a letter of credit to buy, not to buy, but to do an exchange on a domicile, all the letter of credit says is that, yes, the credit is available, but then at some point you're going to have to present a check to someplace. Went back and forth. Now, we're not buying domiciles because they're already ours. We do have to show competence at accounting for the domicile, because we have to keep track of our vast estate. So eventually, you'll get back around to this document and creating a check. A letter of credit, you can produce that straight from a credit reporting agency if you choose to. You're the CEO of the credit reporting agency.
Islam, yes, that part. But I also remember we had a previous congressional meeting for the. I'm asking these questions for the people, because I saw the question in the chat, but for people with the mind that people are new to this. And so with that, we have done and gone over the routing numbers and the account numbers in a previous. I can't remember which one, but I know we've done that for those who may have that question. I have to go and look that up, but we had stated that this one.
Yeah, with letters of credit, you can even issue a letter of credit straight from the realty company. You just have to prove where the credit came from. So just know the process that is used by banks in order to issue those types of letters. Just know that process. And all they do is they look at a credit report and they look in the bank to see what's in there, which is, again, going to bring you back around to this process right here. So it's actually going to be, just from our perspective and just a suggested perspective, that, and we know this to be true, that knowing the process of uploading Treasury checks into the bank account is going to actually be more expedient in getting all the other stuff done.
Islam, I'm sorry, but I do remember back in my earlier days of banking when they created a software on your banking app to take a picture of the check to have it uploaded into your account. Yeah, I remember that whole thing. That was some years ago.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. We showed you the other ways to do it, and we can show that way again right now really quickly because we still have it here on the screen about how we uploaded some things into our bank account. We went to USAA Bank, and we took the receipt, and we took fiduciary documents, and we also took this document that you saw on the screen and uploaded it. And again, this is after we had leaned everything moving, and we put that on the public record, and you can go out on YouTube and look at our court actions for USAA and Navy Federal and Bank of America and all of that. We did all of that. And then what we did was we went to our bank account, because it is ours, and we said, okay, let's sign on. We went to a section called My Documents, and then you can see circled in red, it says Send Documents to USAA, and we know we're really the original USAA in red, and then we tell this system what to do. And so it says here, download, and it says File Documents. And when it says file documents, all you're doing is filing them in an inferior court based on court actions that you've already done. Okay? And then step 2, we uploaded the document. So it says upload here. Then step 3, choose and click next. Choose what type documents you're uploading. It was banking documents. It was not a claim, because claims is an unsettled issue that you send to a court. That's why they have that there, because they know a bank is a court that settles claims. We didn't need them to settle anything. We already settled it. And so once we settled, that's why our affidavits are so important. And so so then what we did, we said, this is banking that we're doing, okay? It talks about underwriting information for loans, et cetera, et cetera. It's not underwriting, it's overwriting. And then step 4, upload your receipts, your documents. So when someone in the chat asked, how do we use Delarium in our everyday lives? Thank you, Empress Aisha. Great. And we thank Empress Ravana for sending those out again. I just want to make sure that she hears me thank her. And she says you're welcome to those who have thanked her in the chat as well.
All right.
Thank you, Empress Aisha. And Empress Aisha, we will speak with you briefly about what you put in the chat. I see you putting something in the chat. We'll talk about that in just a moment.
Oh, okay.
Islam. And so step 4, upload your receipts. Okay, and so we clicked on attach files here. And then it says file is uploaded for recording to account. And our file, our demonstration with our receipts and our affidavits and our stamps and seals and all the things that we, put on our documents was uploaded and received. And we have proof that the system received the document. Okay? And then we said, okay, let's see about the documents being tracked, where they are in the process. And this was shortly after we did that. We saw that the status of the documents was first uploaded. That means they're in, that the system acknowledges the document, and then routed, and then processed. Okay, so that is how we do things in our everyday lives where Delarium is concerned. Everything that you receive it should have actually been a statement or an offering. So when something comes in and we thought it was a light bill, it's really an offering. That's them saying, do you accept this offer? Is it accepted for value? Is this a good value for what you received from your own vast estate? And then we say, here's the receipt, and this is the accounting for that. Now, initially we were saying that they were paying for it. They don't have anything to pay with. They don't have anything to pay with. So what does that do? How is it that they pay? By serving, by doing the public work. And then we use lawful money to take care of all the things on our vast estate. We're the only ones who have lawful money. So have they really paid for anything? Have they really provided anything? Everything was already ours. Everything was already ours. And we have actually provided restitution for ourselves and to ourselves. And that's what we're doing now. We're walking through these processes, okay, one by one, step by step, together. You know, I'm still putting these processes together step by step, step by step. Even as the ancestors show us these things and tell us that our courts give full acquittance and discharge, I'm like, okay, great. Let me, you know, it may take me 2 weeks to do it, to get around to it, but I'm going to take the time and sit down and get things done, you know. The estate belongs to the Moors. So in our next call, on our next Congressional Assembly, so now we've shown you how to, what document is necessary to begin issuing checks from the Treasury. We will give you next go round on our next call the ancient seals that we talked about previously. I was right when because I wanted to show the seals that day, and the ancestors said, don't do it yet. It's because they wanted them to be edited properly. They wanted us to make them our own, because the ones that they used previously were not edited according to the things that we stated. So that's why they didn't want me to put them on the public record a week ago when I wanted to. I got them like maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was like, this would be great to show to the heirs, and they said don't do it yet. So I said okay. But I believe they're just about ready now. I'm going to take one last look at them, and I looked at them earlier today, you know, based on what we did, and they're ready. So on our next call, but we want to attach them to the birth certificate, and then show you how we're. The birth certificate is just the introduction of our vast estate to commerce, to sovereign exchange. Gold-backed sovereign exchange. And we've already issued Delarium. We're also, these next few steps that we're taking is just going to make it so that any paper, and this was the case anyway, but any paper that we issue is officially, like, you can point to where it's backed by gold. Okay? And then for those who have not and this is a separate issue, but not really. For those who've not heard about what was found in the Grand Canyon and the amount of gold that was found there in probably the 40s, 30s, the 20s, back then, they found so much gold in the Grand Canyon that they just stopped looking. It was just so much. But what they said about it was, they said if we introduce all this gold, the price of gold is going to go down because it'll be so much. It'll be, and where economics is concerned and where finance and all of that is concerned, where nations are concerned, they said it would be best if we just leave this where it is and don't put it out on the market and don't dig it up and process it, because it will cause the price of gold to plummet. Whereas if we just take the 8,100 tons that we have in our treasury right now and assign a value to it, and we had gone back and forth on the value of it, just looking in history. When we first put the $666 trillion on the record, we said that gold was $50,000 an ounce, 50,000 gold-backed dollars an ounce. Then later on, we said, okay, we're going to look in history and see where everything started off. What was the price of gold in the beginning, where it started off? And it started off at something like $35 an ounce. And then we know today the paper price was somewhere between $1,600 and $2,000 an ounce. So we could even start right there. And that's something that we'll take a vote on probably on the next congressional call, or maybe the one after that. We'll take another look at that. So please be studying that, the price of gold, so that we as a Congress can together determine how much per ounce we want it to be, and if we want it to match the current price. So another something I wanted to show briefly, speaking of all of that, of economic stability, I'm not sure if you all, I know there are some that I know for sure keep up with the crypto stuff. That crypto stuff, y'all know it's pretty much done, right?
Wow.
Anyone know what the latest news is on the crypto piece and a crypto group called FTX?
Well, I know the crypto went down like bankrupt.
Yeah.
I don't know about the FTX.
Oh, FTX basically just put the nail in the coffin. Those custodians previously doing business as FTX. What they did was they just, they connected everything that they did. Yes, it does, nobility. They connected everything that they did. This is FTX on the screen. And they were supposed to be the quote-unquote blue chip crypto whatever system, and they had connected themselves to major quote-unquote corporations, major quote-unquote corporations, to the tune of a lot of their fake fiat money. Because as you know, crypto was fiat too. It was created out of thin air. It didn't have any backing, none whatsoever. And so they went around to a bunch of banks quote-unquote banks, because we know they're not real banks. If they don't come to us, they didn't come to a real bank. They went to a fake one. And they borrowed a bunch of fiat to back their fiat crypto chips or whatever. And all of these people got involved. All of these persons got involved. Dead persons, really. Got involved, and they gave the fiat to a 20-something-year-old person, corpse person. And that person took all of that and just essentially blew it to the tune of millions and millions. I think it might have even been billions in fiat. But he blew every penny. And they're all saying that, oh, you know, he was regulated. They were regulating this corporation, quote unquote. And even with regulation, they were still able to just lose everything and just take everyone's fiat and lose it and just blow it. And so now everyone's wanting to know, well, who is it that they took down with them? Because they're finished, they're done, they're bankrupt, and they were connected, quote unquote, to all of these other banks, quote unquote, and companies, quote unquote. And so this is the list of people who went down with them. You see anything familiar there? BlackRock. And I'm just, you know, I'm just reading what they put out there. Again, we know it's theater. But they got large sums from all of these asset, quote-unquote, managers. And these are all, look here, it says Sequoia Capital. That means that some people said, hey, you can take my all caps and the assets that come with my all caps and put it behind this thing. Well, we can't participate in things like that because we're not dead. We're alive. We're creditors. We're not debtors. So we just watch that kind of stuff. And they took some all caps and any assets, quote unquote, claimed by said all caps and put it behind this FTX. And that guy ran through and just blew every penny. But look at some of the other entities, dead entities, that went down with this Titanic. Look here, Visa. And they're all saying, oh, well, we didn't have much exposure to this. You know, we were involved with them, but we weren't exposed. So, yes, you were. Okay. Visa was sponsoring, or I don't know, sponsoring is probably not the right word. Visa allowed transactions to go across their Visa platform. And this is corporate dead Visa, not the living Visa. USI Insurance Services, provider of insurance for FTX US. This is the dead. Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Those in the financial realms know what those names mean. And I said names because they are names, dead names. And so, you know, again, this is theater. Amazon Web Services. These are all the dead entities, not the living. So, you know, again, where liquidity is concerned and where solvency is concerned, we are the solvent, heirs who have no debt, and we have, it is sad, Empress, but anything that they have out there, if there were any Moors who wake up and say, oh, I'm a Moor, I'm a Moor, they can take anything that they had under this, create a receipt, a creditor's receipt, a fiduciary trustee's receipt. Mm-hmm. Print out a check and deposit the check. But we can all do that because remember, mortgages, light, water, and all of that stuff was prepaid by the Moors a long time ago. All we're doing is showing that we're just manifesting what already is. I have to do these things too. I got to do all of that here. The ancestors are just showing us this is how you do it. This is the right way to go to do it. Instead of, we are not just going to be claiming things. We're going to actually manifest it this way by looking at the processes and saying, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. So now those who were doing processes before, we're grateful for them. There are some sleeping Moors out there who were fast asleep, and even today probably still some of them are still fast asleep, that knew all of these processes but couldn't accomplish anything because they hadn't declared their nationality. They didn't realize how important nationality is. I could call some appellations about Moors who are process driven, and the only problem I saw with all of that process stuff that they were doing, because we're still going to go back and look at it, because we can pull from it. The only problem with it is they were selling the information for fiat, which meant that the processes weren't really working for them. Because you wouldn't need fiat, you wouldn't need people to give you fiat if your process really worked. Because you'll be so busy collecting credits everywhere that it'll be like, when our prophet said, children, you're just plain rich, he said children, but we're not children anymore. So Moors, you're just plain rich. We are. And we can actually write our own checks to get things done, but we have to keep the all in mind. And that's the part right there, the all and the honor. Because believe it or not, no one was really checking the custodian when they were acting things out. Nobody, no Moors looked into their accounts and said, "Ooh, you put an extra check in there." You're just a citizen. You can't put that bigger check in there. Nobody said that. They were dealing in hundreds of millions here, hundreds of millions there, like it was no big deal. But really, they were just acting so that we would see, and so that we would know that the real money can actually do those things. But we got to think about everybody, everyone. That's what commerce is all about: is including everyone in everything, and making sure that everything has to be led by the Moors. All processes are led by the Moors. We know that. That has to be the case. And we go from there. So, it's all written into the law because we wrote it into the law. Are there any questions, comments? Empress Aisha.
Yes, ma'am.
You asked a question in the chat about a sandwich process.
W for sandwich process.
Yes. What is that?
It's it's where you can, like all the bills that, like you said, everything had been paid for. And they gave every one of us a Cestui trust when we were born. I think it was in 1866. They created this Cestui trust.
Oh, 1666. Mm-hmm.
1666, and everything was supposed to be prepaid.
Yeah.
But when they send me a bill for my utilities or whatever, they want me to send them a check. And if I don't send them a check in the mail along with that little coupon at the bottom of the bill, if I don't send a check with it, then they end up cutting my utilities off, right? But when we send them the check, they get paid twice because the bill has actually already been paid.
Yeah.
And all we had to do was endorse that little coupon and send it back to them, and that should have been it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now they have came out with this sandwich process that you can take that little coupon along with a W-4, a 1040, and a 1040V, and send that company name and address along with those documents, and they take you through how to fill it out. And you send those documents to IRS, and they audit those accounts. And a lot of people are saying that they are getting their money back. You know, they're getting millions of dollars back off of stuff that they have taken away from the people.
So they're getting out ahead of the public works. That's really what that is, Empress.
Okay.
That's public works. That's the way it should have been. Well, what changed that made them want to do it right?
Well, they say they got enlightened with that Cestui trust, and they found out that they were the creditors instead of the debtors.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
but if you just take the name of the W-4 thing as I put it on the screen, you can Google that, and it's about 3 or 4 different people out there that are explaining to the people how to do those 3 IRS forms plus a cover letter, and they walk you through how to do it and send it to IRS, and then they reimburse you of all the funds that they have taken from you, robbed you for in the past.
So that is a debt discharge process.
They're trying to get rid of the debt. Yeah, they're trying to get rid of the debt.
Let's see.
But I thought if we could, if we were able to do that, then we could take and put a lien on that money and put it a lien on those funds, a lien on that debt, and put it up under our government, and it would become credit.
So that's exactly what we just explained. That's the process that we just explained. We're going to look at that. Empress and Moores also. Anyone wanting us to perfect that process from the creditor's perspective, if you would go through the process in terms of whatever they say, like don't do the process. I'm not saying do it. What I'm saying is look at the forms that they say. Let's recreate those forms and then do it that way. The creditor, okay. Because see, this is the problem with the debtor forms is that the debtors, they cannot get rid of their own debt. If they could have, they would have.
Okay.
And there have been, and see, people are saying those things about that process, but has any of them actually shown, look, this really happened? No. They just saw a process that was put out there, and that process needs to, the only way it's going to work is if the creditor speaks it.
Okay, well, there are several people that did testimonies on there that said they had got a few $1 million back out of it. Now, you know, I know the difference in our process and they.
Yeah, because see, when people start doing that kind of stuff, testifying about how they got millions back.
Yeah.
First of all, if you got millions back, would you be testifying on some place like that? Would you do that?
You really shouldn't.
I do know that they need some contracts. They want some contracts. I know that.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I say we don't contract with them. So what we're doing is we will reconstruct that process. And when we reconstruct the process, then the credit can move.
Okay.
Yeah. Because see, you can't, listen, Empress, you can't pay debt with debt.
I understand.
You know, they're putting that out there, and those saying they got millions back are liars. That's a lie. They didn't get millions back because they don't have millions.
Right, and then the money is fiat anyway.
Well, it's not money. That's number one, and number two, no one is giving out that kind of fiat because it's debt on top of debt. You cannot pay debt with debt, and their forms point to debt. Because all their forms are designed to point to a fake treasury that's filled with debt.
Right, and then on top of that, I think IRS themselves is getting about a 13% out of what they get back for you, for the individual people.
Well, you know what, Empress, that makes sense to me because if the fake IRS is getting 13% back on that, all they're going to do is turn around the next year and tell you, okay, now we want 150%.
Okay.
Because you agreed to be a debtor for that little bit, knowing that you're not a debtor, you know. And I'm talking about not you, Empress, but I'm just saying if Moores were to do that process, we're reconstructing everything. We can do it, but we have to reconstruct all the forms so that they point to the creditor treasury and not the debtor treasury.
Okay.
And then we can cut our own checks and put them into our bank account.
That'd be much easier, wouldn't it?
It is easier because that's what they were doing.
Okay.
You know, Islam nobility. That's a great process, Empress Aisha, by the way, for us to investigate and see. Let's reconstruct the process and then move forward, especially based on the reformatted or reconstructed form that we put on the public record today.
Okay.
This is Izine. Basically, that is a dead man walking system. They're using the dead birth certificates to recycle the people back through the system, and at the same time, they're holding debt documents.
Yeah.
And it goes through. That's all. It's just a dead man walking system. Nobody in that system is alive who's accepting those fraudulent checks.
Well,
the foundation of it is those dead birth certificates, which they put them on file with the dead United States corporations a long time ago. And they're in it, every one of those documents is sitting there in the Department of Commerce for anyone to see.
Yes.
It's a dead system.
It is a dead system. You know,
I yield.
That is so true, Justice Izine. And not only is it a dead system, but heirs prove that they're competent when they stop going around and trying to do something with that system. Okay.
Okay.
What happens, Empress Shatali put in the chat, what happens when you put a minus in front of the amount offered on your check? They got a few million fiat back. Okay, so when you hear stories about people who got a few million fiat back, please just know that those stories are planted stories. Because out of all the people that's claiming they got all this back, do you all personally, have you seen those people with your own two eyes spending that money? Or that fiat, rather? No. You have. I know you haven't. No, you haven't, because they don't exist.
Well, you can't. The funny thing is, you can't really pay a debt with a debt, and say in a fiat system, it only goes around in a figure eight, and someday it'll come back to you. Because I've had some debtors call me about stuff, that they supposedly they had discharged it, but eventually it came back around to me to pay again.
Yeah.
And one of them was going to send out the people. What did she say she was going to do? She was going to have some kind of thing served to me on it. And I said, what you going to do that for? I'm the creditor, I have papers and stuff saying I'm the creditor. And then they never showed up.
Of course not, because they know you know who you are.
Right.
That's why I say those processes are processes that creditors should be reconstructing and using.
Okay.
Because those ones talking about they got a few million back are lying. A few million what? What did you get back? Tell me that.
Me, I haven't put anything in the mail.
Not you, Empress. I'm talking about, because Empress Chatali put something in the chat saying that some people said they got a few million back, a few million fiat back, and I'm like, prove that, because if Donald Trump can't get a few million back and they ripping his name off of buildings because he can't get a few million back, ain't nobody getting none back. Believe that.
Oh, wow.
Believe it. And so, those stories are planted. You can't find nobody out there that said, "Ooh, I got a million fiat back. That's where I got this new whatever conveyance from, and look at this big house I got. I got this from getting a few million back."
Mm-hmm.
You will never see that. You'll never see that out of all these people claiming that they got all this back. Now, let me just say this too. Aside from the fact that you can't pay debt with a debt, those trying to discharge debt, those playing the lottery, a debt lottery, and people wonder why everybody who previously, quote unquote, won the lottery ended up broker than broke afterwards. It's because that was debt in the first place, and it was meant to put you in debt.
Okay.
And I'm just saying in general, Empress, Aisha, great points that you brought up, because any of those processes, we can look at those processes and reconstruct them and use them, and then create a check and deposit it.
Okay.
We're at that. Some people call it a tipping point. We call it we crossed the finish line. That's
okay.
Already.
All right.
Because all we have to do is look at what they've been doing and reconstruct it. That's why that stuff is being put out there, really. It's being put out there for us to specifically reconstruct it.
Okay. Now that makes a lot of sense. Do you know about Dr. Hindu Henderson?
I have heard of him. Is he the one who does the court?
Does the what?
The court, a world court, I think.
Yes, he does the world court. And I did sign up for that a few years back. I haven't been following him lately like I should.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be protecting the people when they sign up with him, because when he first started off, when I came in free. But now he's charging for an individual is $750, and I think if it's a family, it's like $1,500. But his program is supposed to protect the people, period.
I don't know him, Empress, and I'm not saying anything negative about him because I don't know him.
He works from
about the fiat piece. If someone is charging you fiat and what appears to be exorbitant exorbitant amounts of fiat, is their process really working?
Well, I think it might be he's working from the Bible standpoint. You know, back in the Bible when the people had to register, and I can't remember specifically what scripture it was in, but all the people had to register in the Bible in order to be clean. I don't want to say anything that, you know.
Okay, and Empress, I get what you're saying. I'll say this about that. In the Bible, because see, if people are going by the Bible, then they may need to look and see where the Lord said the silver is mine and the gold is mine.
Well, yeah, and he encompasses all this stuff in his work. But I don't understand. Like I say, I kind of quit following him personally like I should have. So I can't really speak a lot. I know he just revised the page and stuff.
Empress, you said enough. When you said charging $1,500 fiat, you know, there's where I have to kind of back away and say, you know what? You know, is it working? Because the only time people do things like that is if they feel like they need fiat to remedy something.
Okay.
That means they need fiat to remedy something in their lives.
Okay.
And if they need fiat to remedy something in their lives, what is their court doing? And this is for anyone. If you need fiat, then is your court doing something? Like, when your court speaks, do the fiat people stop doing what they're doing, or do they continue?
Okay.
You know, if you're asking for fiat, that means you're a part of a fiat system.
Well, yeah, they haven't turned away, it doesn't seem, from that fiat system. Yeah. But I also know, though, that he does know about the mowers, and he, to a certain point, honors what the mowers are doing.
And you know what? To a point, we honor what he's doing too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. You know, we can learn from anybody. We can learn from anybody. And
that's all you have to do is take it and straighten it up.
It just needs to be uncorrupted from that fiat system.
Right.
So that's all. What
okay.
He sure is great. I mean, especially if he's talking about a court. That's the right thing. A court is right, but the court has to be underwritten by a financial piece, because a court is a bank and a bank is a court.
Right.
And it appears that he's underwriting his processes with fiat, if that be the case, if there is a fiat charge. And that is why I, like Tajiri Bey, and the ancestral energies that come with what we do not, we say, please don't send us that, because it doesn't mean anything to us. We don't need that.
Okay.
You know, because we know that all we got to do is keep doing what we're doing and watching our money work for us. Yes,
yeah, because when I looked at the process, I was saying, you know, in my mind, like you say, I was saying, well, if I went in there and did that, I would certainly lean it and, you know, lean it and turn it over and flip it so that it benefits the mowers rather than, you know, the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, because the processes, and I don't know, again, I don't know him, I don't know his processes, but I'm sure he's got some processes that worked, or he wouldn't be trumpeting what he's doing. You know, somewhere in him there's faith in what he's doing. We honor that.
Right. Because he's been out there for years. He's been out there probably since 2012, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
He had been out there a few years when I found out about it.
Yeah. Yeah, if he will, you know, and I won't speak directly about him, but I'm just saying in general, anyone who has processes that are working well, those processes need to be underwritten by goals.
Okay.
And by lawful money, and sometimes they don't see how to do that, but we're showing how to do it.
Yeah.
Take any paperwork and properly state the paperwork. That means change the state of it.
Mm-hmm.
That means change the state of it from the dead United States to a living States United. And then issue creditor instruments with regard to that and begin to discharge credit instead of trying to discharge debt.
Okay.
And we're all doing, Empress, we're all walking that walk together, and it's working.
All right.
It is working. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And thank you for bringing that up, Empress, because that's a valuable piece of information there.
Oh yeah.
The sandwich process. Grace, about them sandwiches.
Yeah. And then it's very simple because all you have to do is really, what I want to say, flip it over 5 benefits. Flip it over, but the paperwork do need changing. It needs to be live process instead of the data process. They got it on.
Yeah, Islam. L. Ruckin Bay, thank you so much for what you put in the chat about that 805 ILCS. Thank you for that, putting that in the chat. That's important, very important information. Did you want to star 6 and say a little bit about that and what prompted you to put that in the chat?
I researched at the bottom of the questionnaire. Questionnaire. What our authority is. This is the law that he wanted us to see right here. It's been moved around and changed. So that's the law. This is the law. The 10.5.905 document was created.
Yeah.
So I just want.
Nobility, what territory are you at?
I'm in Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. Islam. So
I know about that too.
Yes, we talked about this briefly a while back. It does, and I believe we restated this. Didn't we restate this? We voted on it and we restated it, and then we sent the 10.5.905 to Illinois.
Yes, you came up with the new 10.5.905. Yes.
It needed to be put in the proper state so that it will work for the Moors, because the way that it was presented initially, it was done, and we honor the initial presentment because it was a great example for us to follow and to look at and to restate and bring it into our own sovereign state,
Right.
So this is a beautiful presentment, Nobility. Thank you for putting this up there, because we looked at it, we saw it, and we presented it at Illinois as well. It's a beautiful document. And if at any time, Nobility, Justice L. Ruckin, if you wanna do a presentment on it and speak to us about it, please feel free to do so.
Okay. Well, I have one ready because I was going to do a Zoom call myself once this is over with.
Can you give us your Zoom information, because we would love to hear it?
Yes, I can. Let me pull it up real quick.
And can somebody put it in the chat when he puts his Zoom information? Somebody can type it in, and so that we can all grab it from the chat. Because
Empress, we would be using the 10.10.5.905 that you created. Did you give us specific directions on how to use that?
Yes, Empress, you can look at the one the prophet did and reconstruct it for yourself.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once we get into reading it, we're supposed to amend it and put it on the public record, And that's how. And then once you send that to the Secretary of State, you're not incorporating as a 501c3. It's a 508c1a.
Beautiful. That's
All right now.
We did that, but we need to, it's coming up again, so let's look at it again.
All right.
They have not have seen that presentment. We can present that can be presented again. Islam.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nobility, what's your Zoom information?
I'm getting it as my personal meeting ID is 469-464.
Islam, should you want that out there in the public, or do you want to finish that in the chat? Because you may get, some unwanted guests. I'm just saying.
No, or you may get a whole lot of people who want us to hear the information.
Yeah,
all right, yes, Mom.
I share it on all my platforms, so I haven't had any help.
We can't hear you, Nobility. Say again.
I said I share it on all my platforms.
Okay. So you said 469-464, and then we didn't hear the rest.
The passcode is 10105905.
Okay, and that 469-464 is the Zoom.
My personal meeting ID.
Zoom ID. Okay. Morris, do you have that? His personal.
You type that, please, because
Zoom ID. I'm putting it in there right now. 469-464, and the passcode is 10105905, and it's in the chat.
How about the times that he come on?
The time. Do you have specific times, Nobility, that you come on, or do you?
I pretty much go on all day, so I
go
on 11, 12, 111, 222, 333.
Oh, okay.
I keep doing it over and over, just trying to get until I get it rolling. I have all my documents done. I've already amended the 10105905 48 times for the 48 states. Right?
Beautiful.
I have all my paperwork done, and this is what gets us into the. Now I see what you're doing also, because what I was trying to get into was the issuances of debentures, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with all the other stuff we can do in 12 U.S.C. 611, right?
Yes.
It would be better for us to use our cashier's checks in our own printed money.
Yes.
In the status of a foreign bank, but we to do it properly, to be able to exercise, we have to have this on the public record, and put the Secretary of State on notice that we operating our jurisdictional affairs in commerce within the state, but we have power sufficiently broad enough to operate internationally.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So, what we did in order to notify the ones that were previously doing business as secretaries of state, our notification process takes the form of a lien on them. So our government issues a lien on them, and then that's how we speak. Is we lien them first, and then we start going about in commerce doing the things that we want to do in our territory. So we do notify them. It just happens to take the form of a lien. That way they know not to not to try and go beyond, because we're not using their system, we're not using their money, we're not using any of that stuff. We're using our own. So that's that is sound, some very sound, much appreciated information. Much appreciated information.
If you go down to page 3, you'll see the actual 1099 template that the prophet used in the 1010-5905, right? And then if you go to page 10, it shows what the template looks like to connect properly to what the prophet set up, right? And that's where it shows that we as beneficiaries, we can amend it, right? And this will there's a couple more steps that I have to properly connect you to the actual vast estate trust. So it'll take a little time to get all the way through it.
Okay. So
within law, 805 to the 508 to the 12 USC 611. That's pretty much all the steps, right?
Okay.
So
one thing that you want to make sure you don't do is try to do this from the what some people call the straw name, using your social security number. Create a sole proprietor for banking purposes and make that the trustee. And that's what you put on your amended 1010-5905, that entity as the trustee of the 1010-5905.
So that's similar to our fiduciary trustee document. Yeah, that's the same process. Yeah.
You would staple that in order to get into the banking. Now they can't deny this. This is just what how they usurp our resources to the IRS, right? You just put up the 1010-5905 EIN. That's the second thing I put in there. That's the actual foreign profit trust that the prophet set up. That's what we want to become trustee of, right?
Okay.
Okay, brother. Are you also aware of the AA222-141 document?
Yes, all that is. I got all that, even though it's probably already incorporated in the demonstration. I restated it in what's going to be my resolution, my amendment for resolution.
Okay.
So another part of this, I'm looking at the document that you put the link to in the chat. We're looking at it here on the screen. And I just wanted to point something out really quickly to the Moors and to all of us, just so that we know exactly what these processes are all about. The processes are all allude to person. If you look on the screen, it says registered agent type. What type is it? It's a person. It's a person. And so with it being a person, we have to ensure that the person is our person and not a dead person.
Right.
And I'm just pointing this out to the Moors because we talk about this a lot.
Right.
And that is what our fiduciary document is all about. We declare who we are first in that higher realm. The realm of the red documents is where those that were previously doing business as Pope and Queen Elizabeth and, President so-and-so and all of that, the realm of the red documents, that's where all of that stuff happens first. Right. Then the realm of the blue documents, because, see, the red documents, red is the land jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. And then the blue documents is admiralty jurisdiction, which we are the creditors in that jurisdiction. We must be the creditors in that jurisdiction. And we have to properly state that. And then anytime you see any other documents with black ink, we're also the creditors there as well, because we've declared that on our fiduciary document. Our fiduciary trustee and attorney in that document. So know that everything that is put out there on the public record, there is a person attached to it, and that person takes on the nature of whoever created that person.
Right.
So I just wanted to point that out to the Moors so that they are aware of where the person comes from.
Yeah. So like what you're explaining is basically like the body of Christ type of situation, right?
Yeah.
If the head of the body is not right, then the anatomical parts cannot be right either, right?
Can you speak up just a little bit, Nobility? Just a little bit louder?
If the head of the body is not right, then the parts of the body cannot be right.
Correct. Yes.
So if we went to that 805 that I put in there, it tells you that the document creates a body policy.
Yes, it does.
And
that's why we have to create those documents, because no one else, in terms of corpses, fraudulent foreign corpses cannot create documents that have to do with us. We actually have to do that. Like here, you created a document.
I didn't create this.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't create neither one of the documents. This right here is the actual. I searched the EIN.
Oh, okay.
10.5, and it came up. I wasn't expecting nothing to come up. I was just on the internet, you know what I mean, and I searched it.
Okay.
The same thing with the 805. I didn't create that. That's printed straight off the website.
Okay.
Now, and it tells you that what the process is set up for. So that right there, what we're looking at is a corporation, which is a legal entity held by holders of shares of stock that have been issued, right? That right there let me know that most of the temples aren't operating in this capacity because there's no shares of stock being passed around that would show ownership of parts of the vast estate. Trust, you see how it would balance out from the trust down, right?
I see.
Okay, so now we know it's a trust, and then I'm still on the first page. Then you get into a body politic. What's a body politic? It is a polity such as a city, a realm, or a state, considered metaphorically as a physical body. Historically, the sovereign is the head, so Noble Drew Ali is the sovereign head. And the analogy may also be extended to other parts of the anatomical body. So
so let me say this about Prophet Noble Drew Ali being the head. Because we are all of the bloodline and birthright, we are all the head. All of us are. Every Moor out is the head. Every Moor is the head.
That's why we can just change the name on the document and put our name on there.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't explain that to you in the 805-110. You have to go to 805-115, and then it tells you that our beneficiaries are allowed to make amendments to the document, right? And
actually, it doesn't. Beneficiaries cannot make changes to it, but principals and agents can. That's corporate law.
Well, the beneficiaries just while you're in minor status. So
right, and see, yeah.
Then you change in level spiritually from beneficiary into what you're saying. So if you we don't change levels. What we do is we use the beneficiary, which is the all caps. We use that as an instrument that we, the fiduciaries who are mature heirs, we command that and we tell that what to do. That's how we look at the minor, the all caps. We look at it as a tool that we use in order to do things in certain dimension, in this dimension. We use it to do things. We use it to go and get benefits. We use it to go and do things however we choose to do it, but we don't change, status or anything like that. We just say this is a tool that we're using, and that we are not that tool. That tool belongs to us. It's our property. Yeah.
So we just use the language is a little different on how we tell that thing what to do. And actually we really just call it a natural person. It's a person, but it's natural because it has our nature, but it's not a sovereign being. It's just a natural person. And a person is defined as a corporation or a body. A corpse, a body. A living corporation. You know, and those are things we just looked at over, you know, and looking in the dictionary and looking at things, you know, in terms of making sure that we remain unalienable and inalienable. You know, we want to stay out of a dead jurisdiction. We want to stay in, and you know this already. I'm explaining this for the benefit of Moors who may be new, who hear this along the way. You know, so this is some information that is interesting, to say the least. Very, very interesting. And we appreciate you bringing it forth. I like that I was able to... My apologies, Morris. That was my fault. I did that. Sorry. Yeah, so Morris, take a look at what was put on the screen as well, and just take a look at it. And then what we do is, again, we reconstruct everything. We have reconstructed the 805I document. We reconstructed the 805 ILCS document and forwarded that on to Illinois. We did that a while back, and we put the delivery information on the public record as well. And again, we want to be sure that we are reconstructing everything, you know.
So we need to do those in the county where each person is operating, right? And so it's Prophet already done it in Chicago, so you're just amending that, right? Even leaving his name and signature on. We're amending that and putting our names as the trustee, and you file it in the county where you are, right? And we're not asking for a tax exemption 501c3 status because we already don't have to pay taxes in that status, right? As the trustee, we got there's immunities. There's a lot of stuff. You just have to read through it, right? And have the exact template of what your template has to say in order for it to be valid under this law, right? To be connected to it, it shows you exactly. I think it's page 10. Let me make sure. Page 12. Page 12 shows you a template of what a connecting document looks like, right? But you would be stuck there because you wouldn't know that you can change, that you can amend this document yourself until you go further back into 805.115.1, and it tells you exactly how to do it, right? And then when you get into the foreign banking, you see that this same document creates a body corporate too, right? Which makes the same articles of organization that we're using, the actual articles of organization that you have to send, that we're supposed to send to the IRS, right? And that to properly connect us to the trust that actually has the mandate for the land in it. Because that's what the prophet came back from from getting the mandate for the land in Pan Am Conference in 1928.
Yeah.
He created this holding corporation, right? So this is where it is. This is where everything the prophet did is tied up into here. So we got to break this down and make sure we tie everything that we're doing to that. And now we can see.
I think what I'll do is put the link to when we did that in the chat also, so that for those Moors who may not have voted on that, because we generally take a vote when we're doing things as the government, as the nation. You know, we vote on these things, and then we put them on the public record. And so I think what we will do, I'll just put the link to that video, showing the vote and showing the document that we put and what it says and why we did it that way. Because it's also important to note that the document that we have been seeing at Chicago Territory, when we went on to the public record to look at that document, the document, we pointed out some things about the document. And we want to, here, let me see. Let me see if I can pull that document.
So
Here it is.
in order to properly be incorporeal with the...
Are you there, Islam? Just a minute. Let me go to the web controls. Are you there, Nobility? Are you there? Islam. There he is. I believe that's him. I hope that's it.
Okay, I'm back in.
Perfect. Okay. I put in the chat the link to the 1010-5905 that we did, and we restated it and put it on the public record. And we told why we restated the document. You know, just because it had the one that's on the record at Chicago, Illinois Territory had some stamps and seals and signatures of people, of persons who were claiming a title. And that title, the only one who really had the title was Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And so we wanted to restate it so that we state clearly who has the title on the 1010-5905 document, which is all Moors. So, you know, when we're doing documents, we say all Moors because it is all Moors. But on the one where we saw that they said that Prophet Noble Drew Ali signed it, and we weren't there, we don't know, but we know our prophet did a lot for our nation. So we looked at it and we saw that 2 or 3, and then we even saw the upside down R. That upside down R, had it been on its rightful, you know, turned right side up, would have been the R from what is called the royal seal. But it was upside down on the thing because there were some things that were upside down about the document in terms of persons giving themselves title of county clerk and title of this and title of that on there, when our prophet was the only one who had the title on it. Even the job titles. The prophet was the real office holder there, you know, on the document. So we just pointed some of that out on the document and explained it on the public record, and then we voted, and then we put our own 1010-5905 on the public record and forwarded on to Illinois, and put the, you know, we put the receipt of it showing in the next video after that. We showed where the document was received properly and everything at Illinois, you know. but it did need to be restated, you know.
I think what the prophet wanted us to do with this is like everything I've already did all your documents and stuff. Already did those, completed them, and submitted them there on the county records. I think that what more this is for, because the prophet said we should worship under our own vine and fig tree, right? So everybody should, because this can carry on business in its own name, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone is supposed to, every house, every man is supposed to worship under his own vine and fig tree, meaning he has to have his personal connection, temple connected to the 10-10-5-905, right? And do DBAs. Every business, anything he does it as a DBA, right? So whatever he names his temple, doing business as whatever he want to name his company, right? And everything is done inside of that house. And then on the outside of that house, we come together and do this, right? So that way, everything is completely covered, because the trustees have diplomatic immunities and a lot of stuff. Once we read in and through this, it's basically the physical level of a lot of the stuff that you have been doing with your documents. That's what I noticed as I was studying. I felt the need to merge it all together.
Thank you so much. And you know what? We so honor and welcome the merging, because it's necessary. We need to merge. We need to continue merging. So I'm just absolutely honored that you thought enough of us to do that. Your knowledge is vast.
Thank you.
You know, and we need to keep coming in together like that. I mean, thank you for taking the first step to come and let us know what some things here, put some things on the public record. It is much, much appreciated. And we hope that you will do it again, that you'll come and show us more.
I will.
Thank you. And when will be the next meeting that you have? Will it be tonight?
Yes. I haven't been recording, so I'm gonna record it this time, but probably about 10 to 15 minutes after this call is over.
Okay.
I'm gonna set it up and share it on all my platforms.
Do you have a YouTube channel? We see
the YouTube channel is The Unveiling of Neo.
The Unveiling
of
Neo. Okay. And how do you spell Neo? N-Y-A or N-I-A?
Neo. N-E-O. Neocortex. The Unveiling of Neo.
The Unveiling of Neo.
Yeah.
Okay. Islam, thank you so much. We will be signing on as soon as we sign off here then. So, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom? Because we get a lot of wisdom from each other. Any other wisdom from this amazing Congress? Islam. Okay. Well, with that being said, keep moving. We're all going to keep moving forward in terms of using our money and our Treasury documents to do the things that we're doing. It is working, so let's keep going. And with that, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
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 Islam, Moors, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Islam. Grand Rising.
Islam. Grand Rising.
Gratitude to the Moors.
Islam. Gratitude indeed.
Peace and love. Peace and grand rising.
Islam. Grand Rising.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Lord.
Islam.